Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into something a little different. A book that's not really for reading, it's for writing. It's a tool, a really special one, designed to capture a story, a priceless story, before it's too late.
So let me just start by asking you this, and really think about it. How much of your father's story do you actually know? I mean, we know him as dad, right? But what about the person he was before we were ever in the picture? His childhood adventures, his first heartbreak, what he dreamed about as a kid.
It's so easy to forget, isn't it, that our parents had these whole complete lives, full of their own wins and losses, long before they ever got that title. And the crazy thing is, those stories, the ones that made them who they are usually the ones we know almost nothing about.
And that realization can hit you like a ton of bricks, usually when we're a bit older. You just realize there are these huge gaps in your parents' history you've never even thought to ask about. Well, today we're looking at a tool that's designed to fix that exact problem. Okay, so let's talk about the search for meaningful gifts. We've all been there, right? Every single year, for birthdays, Father's Day, the holidays, you're racking your brain trying to find a gift for your parents that actually means something. And let's be honest, it gets tougher every single year.
And this really breaks it down, doesn't it? On one side, you've got our go-to gifts. Ties, socks, maybe a new toolkit. And yeah, they're fine, they're practical. But on the other side, that's the real wish, isn't it? What we're actually trying to give is connection. We want to show them we understand them. We want to help them preserve their legacy.
So that's the big question. How do you wrap up connection and put a bow on it? Well, that brings us to the solution. A book that actually listens. And here it is. It's called Dad, I Want to Hear Your Story by Jeffrey Mason. Now, this is not just some empty notebook where your dad is supposed to write a whole memoir from scratch. No way. It's a guided journal, really carefully put together as a tool to help him capture his life story and, most importantly, share it. You know, the biggest thing that stops people from writing their story, it's that terrifying blank page. Most people think, I'm not a writer, or where would I even start? And that's the genius of this journal. It completely eliminates that problem. It gives a super clear starting point, so you don't need any writing skills. It just helps turn those random memories into an actual structured story. So how does this thing actually work? How does it pull a whole life story out? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. It all unfolds one little question at a time. Get this, we're talking about over 250 prompts. That is a ton of questions, and they're designed to walk your dad through literally every part of his life, from when he was a little kid all the way to his thoughts on being a grandfather. And they start off really nice and easy. Something simple like, what was your favorite toy as a child? It's not intimidating at all. It's just a way to get the ball rolling, spark a nice memory, no pressure. Then it might dig a little bit into those teenage years. Who was your best friend in high school? I mean, just imagine the stories that a question like that could unlock. All these memories about friends, being young, just a totally different time. But it's not all light and fluffy. The book gets deeper too. It'll ask things like, what is the one lesson you learned the hard way? And honestly, this is where the magic happens. This is where you get the real wisdom, the values, the life lessons that you can carry with you. And what's really cool is how well this works for different kinds of dads. If your dad is the quiet, more reserved type, this gives him a private space to reflect and open up. But if your dad is the total opposite, the guy who tells stories all the time, this is perfect for him too. It helps organize all those amazing rambling stories into one place. Okay, so what happens when the book is all filled out? What do you actually have? Well, it stops being just a journal and it turns into something way, way more important. And you don't have to take my word for it. The stories from people who've actually done this are incredible. Like this one from Samuel, who said his dad just loved the whole process of telling his stories. It became this really great experience for him. And then there's the other side of it, right? Joe, another reader, said, I learned so much about my dad because of this wonderful book. It really becomes this bridge between generations, all built on just understanding each other a little better. And this is maybe the most important part. We live in a digital world, right? Our memories are just out there on some cloud, on a forgotten social media profile. But this is a physical, tangible family heirloom, something you can actually hold in your hands, read through, and one day pass down to your own kids. All right, but let's be real for a second. We have to look at the practical side of this. There is one really important thing you've got to consider before you run out and buy this. And it's this, the commitment.
This is not one of those gifts you just hand over and you're done. It takes real time and real effort from your dad to actually fill it out. You can't just give it to him and poof, a life story appears next Tuesday. But there's a brilliant workaround for this, especially if your dad isn't a big writer or maybe finds it difficult. You can turn the whole thing into an activity you do together. Seriously, just sit down with him. You can ask him the questions, like you're an interviewer, and you can be the one to write down his answers. Suddenly, it's not a chore anymore. It's this amazing bonding experience.
Because when you get right down to it, that's what this whole thing is about. It's so much more than a book. It's the gift of being known, of really, truly knowing someone. And can you think of a better gift to give someone you love?
So I'll leave you with this question to think about. It might not be your dad. It could be your mom, a grandparent, an aunt or uncle. But every single family has stories that are just sitting there, waiting for someone to ask the right question. So, what story in your family is waiting to be told?